Think about someone you know. Maybe it is someone from your social circle. Maybe it is someone you follow online. Maybe it is a coworker. Maybe it is a neighbor. This person looks like they are doing really well, like really well. Nice car, nice clothes, always going out, always on vacation, always looking the part. From the outside, everything about their life screams money, screams success, screams, "I've got it together." But something about it feels slightly off. You cannot put your finger on it, you cannot prove anything, but something in the back of your mind quietly whispers, "Is this real?" Because here's something that took me a while to understand. Looking wealthy and actually being wealthy are two completely different things. And in today's world, where image is everything and credit cards make anything possible, the gap between the two has never been wider. Today, we're going through 10 signs that someone is fake rich. Not to judge anyone, not to call anyone out, but because understanding the difference between the appearance of wealth and actual wealth might just save you from trying to keep up with something that was never real in the first place. Let's get into it. Sign number 1. Their income is loud, but their savings are silent. Real wealthy people almost never talk about what they earn. They don't need to. But fake rich people, they find ways to let you know. They mention their salary in casual conversation. They talk about how much things cost as a way of showing what they can afford. They drop numbers into stories that didn't need numbers in them. They want you to know what they make. Here's why. Because their income is the impressive part of their financial story. It's the part they're proud of. The savings account, the investment portfolio, the emergency fund, those parts are quiet. Those parts are empty, and they're definitely not talking about those. Think about it this way. Imagine two people. Person A earns $5,000 a month and tells everyone about it. Person B earns the same $5,000 a month and never mentions it. 6 months later, Person A has spent every single cent and has nothing to show for it. Person B has quietly been putting $1,000 a month into investments and now has $6,000 growing. Who is actually wealthy? Not the one who was loudest about the income. Real wealth is built in silence, in savings accounts nobody sees, in investments nobody posts about, in financial decisions made quietly with no audience. The loudest person in the room about money is almost never the wealthiest person in the room. Sign number 2. Everything they own is financed, but they talk about it like they paid cash. This one is so common and so sneaky that most people completely miss it. Someone gets a brand new car, pulls up to work on Monday looking like they just upgraded their whole life, and when people ask about it, they say, "Yeah, I just got a new car." Not, "I just signed a 72-month car loan that's going to cost me more than the car is worth by the time I pay it off." They just bought a new phone, brand new, latest model, but they signed up for a 24-month payment plan that's $60 a month. They talk about the phone like they own it. They don't own it, they're renting it with extra steps. The bag, the watch, the furniture, the clothes on their back, all of it financed, all of it making monthly payments that quietly eat their income before they can do anything meaningful with it. The appearance of ownership without the reality of it. Here's the thing about financing everything. It means your future income is already spent. Before next month's paycheck even arrives, a significant chunk of it is already promised to the car payment, the phone payment, the furniture payment, the credit card for the clothes. You're not living on what you earn, you're living on what you owe, and those are two very different things. Sign number 3. They're always the first to pick up the bill and always struggling by the end of the month. You know this person. Every time the group goes out, they're the first one reaching for the bill, loudly, visibly, making sure the table sees. And in the moment, it looks generous, it looks abundant, it looks like money isn't even a thing they think about. But then you notice other things. They ask to borrow $20 by the 25th. They mention that this month has been tight. They're suddenly very unavailable when plans involve spending money in the last week of the month. They're generous at the beginning of the month and quietly broke at the end. Here's what's actually happening. The public generosity is a performance. It's spending money to maintain an image of wealth that doesn't exist behind closed doors. Real generous, wealthy people are generous consistently, not just when there's an audience, and they never need to borrow $20 a week after they just picked up a $200 dinner bill. Sign number 4. They upgrade everything the moment the old thing still works perfectly fine. New phone every single year, even though last year's phone worked perfectly fine. New car every 2 or 3 years, even though the old one had absolutely nothing wrong with it. New furniture because they saw something nicer. New everything because newer feels like richer. This is one of the most expensive habits a person can have, because it's not just the cost of the new thing, it's the loss of the value of the old thing being discarded before its time, and it's the continuous cycle of financing new things while the previous financed things are not even paid off yet. Genuinely wealthy people drive their cars for years. They use their phones until they stop working. They replace things when things need to be replaced, not when a newer version of the same thing comes out. They don't need newness to feel successful, because their bank account already tells them they are. Sign number 5. Their social media is a full-time financial performance. Every trip posted, every restaurant posted, every new purchase posted, every outfit posted, every experience posted. The feed is a constant stream of things that cost money, and every single one of them is shared immediately and prominently. Now, here's what I want you to understand. There's nothing wrong with sharing your life on social media, but there's a specific pattern that fake rich people follow that is different from people who simply enjoy sharing. For fake rich people, the posting is not optional. The posting is the point, because the image they're maintaining requires constant content, constant evidence, constant proof that they're living the life they want people to believe they are living. And here's the quiet truth that the algorithm never shows you. The most financially secure people you'll ever meet are often the least active on social media about their money, because they have nothing to prove. They're not performing wealth, they're living it, quietly, privately, without needing a single like to validate it. Sign number 6. They cannot talk about money without getting defensive or changing the subject. Ask a genuinely wealthy person about investing, and they light up. They want to talk about it. They have opinions, they have strategies, they have questions they are currently working through. Money is an interesting topic to them because they actively engage with it. Ask a fake rich person about money, real money, not the expensive things they own, but the actual financial substance behind the image, and watch what happens. They get uncomfortable. They change the subject. They give vague answers. They suddenly remember somewhere they need to be, or they get defensive, as if the question itself was an attack. Because talking about real money means talking about savings accounts that are not impressive, investment portfolios that do not exist, credit card balances that are very real, debt that is quietly running everything behind the scenes. And that conversation does not match the image they have spent so much energy building. Sign number 7. They confuse net worth with self-worth. This one is the most human one on the list, and honestly, the most important one to understand. Fake rich people have attached their identity to what they own and how they appear. The car is not just a car. It is proof that they made it. The bag is not just a bag. It is evidence of a life worth living. The vacation is not just a trip. It is confirmation that they are doing well. When everything you own is tied to how you feel about yourself, you will always spend beyond your means to maintain that feeling, because the moment you stop buying, the moment you stop upgrading, the moment the image slips even slightly, it feels like you yourself are slipping. It feels personal, like your worth as a person is going down with the image. Genuinely wealthy people separate what they own from who they are completely. They could drive a 10-year-old car tomorrow and feel exactly the same about themselves, because their self-worth does not live in their possessions. It lives in their financial security, in their choices, in the way they sleep at night knowing the numbers are right. Sign number 8. They have high income and high lifestyle but zero assets. This is the one that really exposes the truth. An asset is something that has real financial value: property, investments, savings, a business, something that grows or holds value over time, something that would still exist if the income stopped tomorrow. Fake rich people have high income and high lifestyle. They earn well and they spend every single cent of it on maintaining the image of that income. Nice apartment, but renting, building no equity. Nice car, but financed, losing value every day. Nice clothes, worth nothing the moment they leave the store. Nice experiences, memorable but leaving no financial trace. Ask yourself, if this person's income stopped tomorrow, how long could they survive on what they actually own? For a genuinely wealthy person, the answer is years, sometimes decades, because wealth is not income. Wealth is assets, and assets are built by spending less than you earn and putting the difference somewhere it grows. Sign number 9. They are extremely image conscious around money, but financially stressed in private. The version of themselves they show the world around money is carefully curated. The outfit is always right, the restaurant is always impressive, the car is always clean and current, the social media always reflects the best version of the financial life they want people to see. But in private, different story. The anxiety at the end of the month is real. The stress about the credit card bill is real. The quiet calculations happening in the background about what they can actually afford are very real. The gap between the public image and the private reality is wide, and maintaining that gap takes an enormous amount of energy, money, and stress that most people on the outside never see. This is perhaps the saddest part of being fake rich. It is exhausting, because you're not just managing your actual finances, you're managing the performance of finances that don't match reality. 2 full-time jobs, and only one of them is paying. Sign number 10. They get uncomfortable when real wealth walks in the room. This is the final sign, and honestly the most telling one. When someone who's genuinely, quietly, substantially wealthy walks into a space, someone who doesn't perform it, doesn't wear it obviously, doesn't announce it, fake rich people get uncomfortable because suddenly the performance feels thin. Real wealth has a quiet confidence that is very difficult to fake and very easy to feel. It doesn't need to announce itself, it doesn't need the right shoes or the loudest voice or the most impressive dinner order. It just sits in the room, and everything about the energy is different. Fake rich people feel this, and it unsettles them, because deep down they know the difference between performing wealth and actually having it. They live with that difference every single day. They just hope nobody notices. Now, here's what I really want you to take away from this. None of this is about judging other people. People spend money the way they spend money for deeply human reasons, for belonging, for validation, for feeling like they're enough, for keeping up with a world that constantly tells them they are not. That's not something to look down on. That's something to understand and to have compassion for. But here's why this matters for you. If you're spending energy trying to keep up with someone who is fake rich, matching their lifestyle, feeling behind because of their car or their vacations or their clothes, you need to know that you might be chasing something that was never real. You might be going into debt to keep up with someone who is also in debt, running harder and harder on a treadmill next to someone who is also running and also getting nowhere. Real wealth is quiet. Real wealth is consistent. Real wealth is built slowly and deliberately over time in ways that nobody posts about and nobody sees. It lives in savings accounts and investment portfolios and paid-off mortgages and choices made when nobody is watching. The most powerful financial decision you can make is to stop performing wealth and start building it. Those two things cannot happen at the same time. You're either spending to look wealthy or saving to become wealthy. Pick one. I'm Zara, and we're just getting started.